Hey guys, all in crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, on what I'm sure for many has been a frightening Thursday to another daily cryptocurrency market update with myself, all in. Today, we are going to be looking at a number of things. Yesterday, we got the CPI reveal for markets, and essentially it showed, and certainly there's people speculating, that this may be the sign that inflation has peaked. Markets saw absolutely no relief across the board from this news. What I actually thought would see some sort of a relief rally for crypto. Very telling of the situation that we're currently in. So what we're going to do in this video is we're of course going to be looking at Bitcoin and our long-term regression bands. We're going to be looking at where I think Bitcoin is going. You know, I've got targets set lower for Bitcoin. And of course, we've got that 20K target, which was the prior cycle's high that we potentially are looking at. I happen to think, you know, and if we look at prior cycles in terms of this long-term regression band, you can see what the kind of play is here, guys. So this was 2013, prior bull market. Remember, crypto has just followed a 4-year cycle theory to date. And still some would argue that it still is. Of course, this cycle is driven by the halvening. But from 2013, 2014 bear market, we said, and we've been warning people on this channel, guys, so make sure you subscribe because this is a no BS crypto YouTube channel. And we actually want people to succeed. We don't dump on individuals. You know, we want everyone to do well. And I wish there was a channel like this when I was first getting into crypto back in 2017. So anyway, we looked at this 2014 schematic, if you will, or price action, and where we were on this midterm. We said, look, a likely situation is likely to happen current date. And you can see a capitulation event followed. A breaking of this. You also have, and I'm not on the 3-day here, but I will flip to it, your 3-day death cross EMA. You then found your way down to the lower band, and that's where I think we're heading currently. I think we can get relief rallies in that, but ultimately I think, you know, until the Fed, and this is why we bring up macroeconomics on these daily cryptocurrency market updates, until they pivot on the interest rate hiking, inflation tackling warpath that they're on, that's going to absolutely devastate markets and is already showing signs of that, then there's no reason for us to flip our bias until the Feds change theirs. So we looked at 2013, 2014 bear market and what happened after here. Same thing in 2018, obviously following 2017's bull market. And you can see you find your way down to this lower band and actually find it as support. There's no reason, given just how similarly, and remember, we've got the death cross that is now impending and looking extremely likely to happen, is almost a given at this point on the 3-day. There's no reason why Bitcoin doesn't come down to this lower band. No reason at all, I don't think. You know, we could see some sort of relief, and then we come back, we sort of trend along it, and then we start to rebuild. And if you look at the things of the Wall Street cheat sheet and all these other things, your altcoins are literally that right now. And we do have targets, you know, what we're really looking at, and I'll take us off. And we're going to get into a few things in this video, guys. We're going to be going over a lot of the news right now. But really, I just want, you know, because people often get lost within markets. Really, I just want to kind of put perspective on everything. You know, ultimately, I'm still extremely bullish crypto long term. I think that this recovers. But I think it's going to take a little bit of time. And certainly given the, I mean, the UST news, the TERRA news is just, it's crypto history in the making, guys. And it's going to take a long time. I mean, this is, you know, TERRA collapse could spell the end of algorithmic stablecoins. Certainly, we're going to get a lot of regulatory scrutiny over this. It's bad for the whole ecosystem, not just the TERRA community. And I think a lot of trust and a lot of people are going to be looking at what happened with TERRA and going, well, what about our altcoins? Can something like that happen? It's a huge fear trade what's going on right now. But talking about coming, again, back down to the lower bands, which we're not far off. Very quickly, actually, the lower band at the moment is currently at $23,000. Now, we have price targets that are near and dear to that number. You know, ultimately, we've been following this. Always leave the bloody draw tool on. To the way down. And one thing that worries me is there's a huge gap here. I think on the daily, you may get a little bit of consolidation at these points, which is why we've got these levels, areas that have, you know, proven significant previously. Of course, we had this level drawn in yesterday. We've seen a bounce off it. You know, the problem that you've got for crypto is, where does that strength come from? Where's that rally going to come from? Where's that relief going to be found? And I thought, and certainly if we didn't get that on a lower CPI number than the prior one, remember the Fed are only really doing what they're doing to tackle inflation, that's their sort of main agenda, then that I don't think is a particularly good sign. So we're looking at this level here, 36. You break below that, you can't come back and close above it. You're looking at 23. And then the next big one would, of course, be the price cycle high. I think that's a more likely scenario getting down to this 23. This is the one that I'm watching, and it is actually probably, depending on what the macro landscape is telling me, because you guys know that it's a part of our story now, that's what I'm looking at, 23K. So we've got another 4+K to go, I think. Doesn't mean we don't rally, doesn't mean that this doesn't hold. We come back above and we start to rally. But ultimately, if the macro backdrop hasn't changed and is still set on the path that it's going, that spells more downside. And of course, your altcoins are going to suffer significantly more. I mean, the Luna story is... I'm still shocked that you got people defending this guy at this point. But, you guys know that we are looking to continue to short altcoins. Ultimately, I've got a long spot crypto position that I'm going to hold for the next 5 years. But I also sort of hedge that position with shorting altcoins. And we actually did pull up the total too, guys, yesterday, by the way. Video's still up there. These daily cryptocurrency market updates, by the way, guys, are gold, if I do say so myself. We put this level on the chart and said there's no reason, and you were here yesterday, guys, no reason whatsoever that we don't come back down and run this and come back down to these levels. The question is, do we run them and continue to go lower? And that's all dependent on the macro. I mean, let's take a look at gold. Gold isn't doing well off the back of this. The NASDAQ nearly closed hard on the nose yesterday, and we've got a downside target for the NASDAQ of in your 9K region. I mean, what happens if the NASDAQ continues to fall? Crypto goes with it. I think ultimately there is an element of support going to be found for the crypto space, but it depends. That's, I think, quite optimistic, the 23K price prediction I've just thrown out there. There's definitely the room for more downside, but it all depends on the macro scope and how bad that gets. And I think this UST situation, guys, is bad for crypto. It's history. And I mean, I'm still gobsmacked. I've literally probably not left the screens at all, really, over the past sort of 4 days, which is why I sound quite tired today, because it can be quite... you can get quite burnt. You can get burnt out quite easily in the cryptocurrency market. I'm not there yet, but you guys absolutely can bet that I'll be hitting the spar up on the weekend. That's for sure. So yeah, so we are looking at downside. One thing that we've also pointed out on the channel, by the way, guys, is that Bitcoin dominance was on the rise, and that you wouldn't get a bottom until you've seen a significant rally for Bitcoin dominance, because people are going to look for safety. They're going to look for it in the dollar. We spoke about the dollar. All correlated, guys. We've called, and it's all on our Twitter, for the dollar, and this isn't off my analysis, by the way. This is off the heads up from a guy called the Crypto Sniper, who is a friend of the channel. We've called for dollar to 108. He's calling for it going higher, and that's quite likely. And the whole time people say, no, this is going to roll over. Well, if you're saying that, you don't understand the DXY, the dollar currency index, and what it's pegged to, because euro's going down harder, and so is the Japanese yen, and they make up nearly 60% or just under 60% of the peg that sort of makes up, or the basket that makes up the DXY in regards to what it's pegged against. See what the S&P is saying today. S&P market isn't even open, but the minis future contract is down, guys. Apple down, hard on the nose. Sorry, that was Amazon, by the way, guys. Apple down, hard on the nose. If these keep falling, that's downside for crypto. There's no way to beat around that bush. And for me to do so would be being dishonest. Again, crypto does come back, but it's going to take a little while to do so. And I'll tell you, actually, talking about Apple, a schematic that I'm looking at is actually Apple in the 2008 is what I'm looking at. This. I think this is plausible as a schematic to overlay. Let's get it to the weekly. As a schematic to overlay on what Bitcoin's likely to do. More downside, take out these lows, bottom out, show that bottom is there. Because this is not bottoming structure by any stretch of the imagination, what we've currently got for crypto. And then we get rallies to the upside and we start the slow growth of, you know, more adoption and everything. You know, there's so much going on. I mean, we've got Tether FUD right now. Always Tether FUD. Always people like to question Tether. And it's detrimental to the crypto space. A lot of the times the FUD that comes from Tether is you know, the CTO is very vocal on the fact that, look, Tether's secure. Yes, it can lose its peg slightly from $1, but this is crypto, guys. You know, it's not, people are looking, because of the Luna situation, the UST situation, they're looking at Tether and going, oh, well, what about this? And that's why I think there's probably more downside, is a big factor because of psychology. People are not going to be trusting this right now. Given what's happened, it's not like 2021 when everyone's like, we'll just throw money in whatever. You've got serious reason. I mean, KSI is a big not crypto YouTuber, a big YouTuber from the UK. There was a story this morning saying that he lost like 3 million on Luna. That, you know, people pay attention to that sort of stuff, and that's going to factor into markets. And this is why we're not seeing markets get a bid. The Luna thing, like I say, is just so significant, and it's devastating for the holders. I've heard some horror stories already. And it's important to remember, I mean, you know, I watched the world generally in terms of what's going on in it. You've got people over in Sri Lanka, which is a totally unrelated thing, by the way, to crypto. But, you know, it's a horrible situation what's going on over there. Life can always be a lot worse, guys. And remember that, you know, it's only money at the end of the day. Is not, I don't hate that. I think it's such a trivial thing to say because money is of extreme importance in the world that we live. But at the same time, you can make it back. It's a big loss for people that hold Luna. But, you know, this is crypto, guys. Tether loses $1 peg. Bitcoin drops to 2020 levels of nearly 24K. Whoever wrote that article is just misinforming people. It didn't even go to anywhere near 24K. But I suppose it's whatever sells the headlines. Certainly, you know, why not when everyone's already in fear? Weak sentiment around stablecoins may have contributed to the USDT depegging. Yeah, absolutely. So people, the reason that it came slightly away from the dollar peg was just because it would have had a huge volume of people looking to exit. There's also a lot of nonsense going around about the Coinbase. I don't keep my crypto on exchanges because I practice self-custody. And that's just how I roll because I'm very crypto native at this point. But a lot of people still use Coinbase, and there was a lot of news about the fact that Coinbase, essentially, if they went bankrupt, would have to use their depositors. So people like, you know, me and you that might use Coinbase and have our crypto in their depositors, funds as collateral. That's the same story for all banks, by the way, guys. It's nothing different there. You know, banks, once your money's in a bank, technically it's actually not even yours. You don't believe me? Look it up. Once your money is in a bank, okay, yeah, you can withdraw it and stuff like that, but we've seen throughout history times where that hasn't actually been applicable. We saw in China actually not that long ago in regards to a number of things. So that's really all I've got for you guys. I didn't want to go on too long. I am B. I'm absolutely knackered, guys. This has been an intense trading session over the past week. It's also been an intense, you know, covering this space during everything that's going on. But I think it's so important to make sure that people understand what's going on, and that they don't panic and they don't, you know, I say that, I mean, there's a lot of panic, guys, and I think it's warranted, but it's you have to be stoic in times like this when everybody else is freaked out, and that's where your opportunities are going to present themselves. And by the way, we're setting up a Discord, or a community, I should say, which will be a paid thing. It's a way for me to actually take time away from, you know, time is money at the end of the day for me, guys. We've not announced it yet, and we will officially announce it. But we're creating a community that I think is going to absolutely kill this market moving forwards in terms of not just trading it if that's what people want to do, but in terms of the opportunities that are presenting themselves and placing yourself in the right altcoins to make, you know, potentially life-changing money. So that's really all I've got for you guys. Stay tuned for that announcement. Don't listen to anybody in the comment section that's pretending to be me. It's all scams. I will never ask you guys for anything, you know, until I've officially announced something, and I'll say it on this channel, and I'll put it on my Twitter and other things. But yeah, that's all I've got for you in this one, guys. If you've enjoyed this content, like is always appreciated, and I'll catch you all in the next YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy your Thursdays if you can.